There is 1 day left in the Fantasticamania 2026 tour. We've seen some really good singles matches from the Lucha guys and a little bit of blending of the strong style and Lucha style over the course of the tour, some mini angles that we're going to talk about. Fantasticamania isn't particularly canon in the traditional sense. So a lot of the things that happen on Fantasticamania don't really carry over to the rest of the tour. But it's a lot of fun. The fans seem to be enjoying it. And we're going to talk about what we've seen this week. We're also going to be looking ahead quite a bit. It's a big preview show. So we have New Beginning USA, which should be pretty consequential. There's also one more Cork Hall show that has a send-off for a young lion. And we also have the first night of the New Japan Cup tournament. So there's plenty coming when it comes to New Japan canon to go along with this Fantasticamania fun tour. So we're going to get into all that. And we have a goodbye as well that we're going to have to cover here too. So it's a mixed kind of day, folks, but we're going to get right to it. With Jeremy Finestone, I'm Steven Conway, and this is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome, everyone, to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we're contributors to the Fight Game Media Network. And Jeremy, before we get started on everything, I know that there's something that you wanted to talk about a little bit off the top of the show, something that has been going on in your world and therefore all of ours too. So,
well, Steven, you know that I had what we call a shit week in the business. Anyone who's ever had a four-legged companion knows that one day you have to say goodbye and you're not ready to, but you have to. And that came this week and it was a bummer. But this, everybody, let's see here. Did we do it? I don't know. Yeah. There we go. That was my dog, Georgia. She had 12 good years. She's the best. I will miss her. And now we will get back to our regularly scheduled programming after everyone knows how much I love that dog.
Yeah, Georgia's, been a part of your lives for a long time, like you said, for 12 years. Yeah. And so I'm very sorry you guys had to go through that this week. And
I appreciate that. It's one of those things where you have to kind of work through the emotions and tell people at work and tell your friends. And there were a lot of people really invested in that dog. And so having those conversations, I don't know, man. I've had a lot of dogs. I've once growing up, I wasn't really there for when it was their time before my parents, and then relationships, there were dogs here or there. But this one was mine, and that one a little different. But I helped helped her grow, helped me get to the life I have here today, and I'm very grateful for that dog.
And you have, Georgia had a brother, Cole, who often joins us on the show here. So.
He hangs out when it's time for him to eat. This is the most food-driven, kind dog. They were two completely different dogs. Georgia's more like a cat. Don't touch me. Don't you love me from afar until it's time for me to say it's okay or feeding and all that. And
right.
I would call her my goblin dog.
Okay.
From time to time, because she's got janky teeth and she's cute, but she's also a chihuahua. You can imagine I still have a couple of bite marks from the last week. Just feisty until she wasn't. But when you have a dog or you have a cat and you're their person, you're the one that notices when they start to slow down.
Sure.
You're the one that notices, maybe they're not eating as much or they're sleeping a little longer or all of those things. And so when the time came to make that call, you got to be honest with yourself, because being too early will always be better than being too late with your pets.
There you go. And some thoughts there from the crowd here. Fernando Zayas is here. Hello, Fernando. Glad you're with us. He says,
Thanks,
sorry
everybody.
to hear that, and condolences. Jordan from Canada says, I still think about my dog every day. I'm not sad, though. She was such a funny Newfoundler. Newfies are a blast and enormous, also enormous. We have a pretty big dog ourselves. We've got
I need a big dog. All I've had are really like small dogs, but a big dog, just like a golden retriever, just a stupid, goofy golden retriever. That's all I need in life, my man. Like even Cole here is basically like a puppy golden retriever in a lot of ways, where he's just like he's the golden retriever that'll never grow up, and he's so afraid of every other dog that it's just like he loses his mind. Like he's like, I'm gonna bark and scream and yell, and you're gonna like chill out. And like, oh, okay, just dumb as rock, but can't believe how much he's grown and learned and trained. Dogs are really smart creatures, even though I'm actively calling him an idiot. They are intuitive, they're special, and he tells me when it's time to go to bed. It's actually pretty funny. If I stay up too late, he runs in from the bedroom and he just stares at me and shames me until it's time to go to bed. Because it's like, Dad, we have a routine. So, special relationships. I probably won't ever have kids. So the pets are pretty much the closest thing to having kids. And so if I'm not on my game, I wasn't locked in on Fantasticamania, everybody. Like I watched it here. I think I was in the thick of it from like Thursday to Sunday. So I watched some of Tuesday and I watched some of today, and it was fine, but like it was not the tape that stick to the wall, if that's the best way I can put it.
We're going to talk about Fantasticamania and just some of the better matches that we saw over the course of the week. We'll take a look at that, sure. But this is mostly going to be a preview show. But we did have I wanted to mention one other thing. I managed to, as far as live wrestling goes, of course, New Beginning USA, that's not in the part of the country I'm from, not in the part of the country you're from. So neither one of us will be there live, but I am going to be seeing Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling live right here in Texas. They are coming to Texas. So I have picked up tickets to see TJPW next month. And so I'm excited. They're coming here for South by Southwest, the big festival we have, the Tech Music and Film
That's
Festival.
What, in Austin?
It's and so if they're coming just about 6 miles from my house, I better show up. And so I'm going to TJPW, and
that's awesome.
Girlfriend's going with me. Might have another friend along as well. So we're going to check out.
I will be going to a live show too, I believe. I think a friend of the show, Dave, is taking me to the AEW show when it hits the San Jose Civic on March 11th, which is right around the corner from my house, where they do those New Japan shows, Battle in the Valleys. They're doing the AEW and Collision right before Revolution. So I don't know if it's going to be the most action-packed show with the top stars because they'll all be getting ready for the weekend, but it should be an experience to go with Dave. And I'll tell if I see any Tonys, I'll tell him what you think of them.
Oh, good. Yeah, no. And by the way, Brad also Syuri says sending condolences to you and your family.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. It's good to talk about it. Like, guys, the world must continue. We all go through this, and like, I have grieved for a long time before she was even like gone, just for a variety of reasons that I'm not going to go into. But there was a sense of loss with her for a while. I just couldn't have her full time, but she was with me for the last couple weeks. So it was bittersweet, but I don't have any regrets.
Yeah, fair enough. So, all right. Well, wanted to mention, we certainly wanted to let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
It's hard to transition into wrestling after.
Well, let's talk about some Lucha Libre, because I had a Chihuahua that was from a town called Watsonville, which really liked their Lucha Libre. So let's pivot into the Lucha Libre that we got this week.
So we did get some. What we saw was mostly from Osaka. They had a show at ATC Hall in Osaka, one from the Edion Arena, gym number 2. There were other shows in there, one in Nagoya, one in Kochi, and those weren't broadcast on TV. Those were strictly house shows. But the ones we got from Osaka were quite enjoyable. I'm bringing up the notes about it. what I wanted to mention were some of the best ones. And I would say that if you go back and recommend matches to watch, Mascara Dorada and Mistico's tag team tournament were always their matches were always highlights. The one against Valiente and Futuro, this follows a pattern that's gone on throughout the years in Fantasticamania, Jeremy, in which they bring some of the top guys, of course, and we've got a lot of the top guys. This is a pretty loaded lineup for Fantasticamania this year to get Mistico and Mascara Dorada and Hechicero and Templario and Ultimo Guerrero, but they also bring some younger guys over each year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, Futuro, Valiente Jr., both fairly young wrestlers, not necessarily rookies, but
what about Stigma?
So we've seen Stigma a little bit before too, but it's worth noting all the way back, and Chris Charlton mentioned it. Soberano Jr. was almost a rookie the first time he came over for Fantastic. Now he's one of the very top heels in the business. Mm-hmm. And Atlantis Jr., he mentioned his debut as Atlantis Jr. was part of Fantasticamania. And he had wrestled as, Tiburon for a handful of matches for a little while, just kind of getting his feet wet, because CMLL is a pretty tough pool to just jump right into off the diving board. So he did some independence under another name, but his Atlantis Jr. debut came in Fantasticamania Tour. So he's now one of the top level guys. So it's worth watching both the legends, of course, and then checking out who, because they send their best prospects to Fantasticamania for this experience. And I thought Futuro did a heck of a job on this tour. He's a terrific wrestler. Valiente is very exciting. And any tag team match with Mascara, Dorada, and Mistico is going to be terrific. So, and that one in particular in that tag team tournament was an excellent match in Osaka at ATC Hall. Soberano Jr., Templario, and Hechicero had a three-way that was a lot of fun to watch. And but keep an eye on Futuro. I mean, it's right in the name, isn't it? But he's a talented dude, and the fact that they are sending him to Fantasticamania early in his career says they think he's really talented as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I remember talking to you about last week was how potentially a way that whole tag team tournament was going to go, and that was basically Magnus and Averno taking the masks of everybody at some point in each tournament, going all the way to the end. And we got to that second match. I'm like, son of a bitch, that's exactly what they're doing.
Exactly what they did. Yeah.
And I was like, it's really, like heels and faces, and I wasn't really locked in, but I caught that. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. How about that? Like we weren't dealing with deep equation booking here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they revisited some stuff today. The singles match of today felt somewhat consequential, especially that Averno match.
Sure.
It was pretty tremendous, but it's always just a spotlight. You got the Okamura coming back with Toshi Kojima, just kind of everybody getting a little bit of play here and there from the Mexico tour. And, I like the Black Tiger, the Tiger Mask stuff with Magnus. I thought that added a little extra spice to everything. Maybe wasn't, the hottest thing in all of pro wrestling, but, just gave a little extra pepper to the Fantasticamania vibe. And in the background, you got a couple of little things like Zane J is developing his character. You've got Zane J and Templario working together and really like kind of strengthening the United Empire bonds. And you also got Teton officially confirming he's part of Unbound Company. So there are little things here and there throughout the shows that, make them consequential. But at the same time, it really does feel like the appetizer before the New Japan Cup next week.
Fair enough. But a couple other matches to look out for in Osaka at the Edion Arena, number 2, gym number 2 there, the small room, which drew well, by the way. The tour's been drawing fairly well. The only one was down was Nagoya. Nagoya was down about 300 from last year. Everything else is about where it is. And they pretty much filled Korakuen Hall today. That they were up in the balconies, and so people were excited to see the guys. In the other show, the one from the 24th, they were both the earlier in the week shows were both from Osaka, just different arenas. Atlantis Jr. and Templario versus Soberano, Ultimo Guerrero, and Hechicero was a lot of fun. And then the tag team tournament finals, Mistico and Mascara Dorada versus Magnus and Averno. Those are worth watching as well. Averno is a veteran guy. He's lost his mask, just like Ultimo Guerrero did years and years and years ago. Ultimo Guerrero lost his mask. He likes to wear it every once in a while in Japan because he's not allowed to in Mexico. There are surprisingly strict rules in Mexico that involves your wrestling license, not just the promotions themselves, but there's a pretty strict commission in Mexico to become a luchador. You have to pass a test in order to do it, like a physical test. Like they run you through drills to make sure that you're capable of doing it. They have very strict rules. Once you lose your mask, you cannot put that mask back on and try to draw money as a mask.
Serious, but it still just makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, it is. It shows you how
the ability to keep kayfabe together, man. Like legitimate paperwork.
At some point, someone got things pushed through the government that said that if you lose your mask and then come back in your mask and try to draw money as a masked wrestler, that you defrauded the people who paid to see the mask
man who was really powerful and really pissed one time.
Yeah, and so Guerrero can't wear his mask in the ring in Mexico. He'll lose his license. He will not be able to make a living anymore. So with all that, once you're in Japan, those rules aren't there, and he can wear his mask. Sometimes he usually takes it off at some point during the match. But Averno's lost his mask and things. But that guy, Averno, had one of the better weeks of anybody out here, and not just in results, but his matches were terrific. And to be fair, that's if I were making a list of great luchadors to make sure you watch, if you get that YouTube subscription, Averno would normally be down a ways on that. I think I'm going to have to upgrade him.
Like he's having a renaissance this tour.
Yeah, he really seemed energized and wrestled very well.
Like, okay, I was watching the singles match he had today. I'm like, holy, where the shit did this guy come from?
Yeah, he's been there all along, but he really turned on the Jets. And you mentioned Magnus playing into the whole tiger mask thing. He's wearing kind of a Black Tiger inspired mask. He's ripped the mask off of our tiger mask, New Japan's tiger mask, a couple of times, leading to a singles match tomorrow. Averno as Rudo, as a heel, he defeated Atlantis Jr. in the tag team tournament. I mentioned last week they don't job him very often, and that was to set up an historic light heavyweight title match that took place today. Terrific match, and they switched the title. And Atlantis Jr.
I was not expecting them to do that.
Oh, nobody was. Atlantis Jr. held that title for 3 years, and he beat Atlantis Jr. for it. So they had a consequential result.
Not only did he beat him, he beat his ass at the very end of that match. Like,
yeah,
there was no doubt who the better man was in that match.
Yeah, hitting the devil's wings 3 times and then getting the submission. It was a very decisive victory right there. And then, of course, something that frequently happens with Lucha Libre is even when the heels win at the end, there's a moment of sportsmanship. They shook hands.
It was cool.
Even
House of Torture Magnus, Black Tiger, was in the ring, like applauding.
That happens in mask matches as well. When title matches, mask versus mask, hair versus hair, like when a heel wrestler will lose a mask, he will take his mask off, hand it to the guy who beat him, and shake his hand. There's very rarely shenanigans after. In fact, one of my favorite was La Sombra when he lost his mask, Andrade El Idolo. He lost it and handed it over, and he was part of Ingobernables, the original Ingobernables, not the Naito version, but the original. And, Roosh is there and some of the other members of that group, and they were like, don't shake his hand, in kayfabe and things. And he just says, nope, this is the way we do things in Lucha Libre. And he shook his hand and held it up and handed his mask over to him, so that there are protocols to all this. And even the heels follow through. So this is one of the things I enjoy about Fantasticamania, is seeing some of that other style, that very different Lucha Libre style over here, and seeing those aspects of it in Japan. And some of that stuff works very well, gets a good response from the crowd. The idea of, I have been defeated and I'm going to be a man and shake the man's, or be a grown up about it. That doesn't have to be gender specific, Steven. But just the idea that I'm going to put the belt on the guy that beat me for it. That touches that whole honor spirit that Japan holds dear. Conducting yourself with honor and thing that touches all of those notes that the Japanese fans love. So it works here.
Yeah, I thought the whole delivery system, the way that they did that match, really they built it up over the course of a couple of shows. Like they made the challenge and all of these things. And so by the time we got to the match, there was an air of like heaviness to it. Like this match mattered. And then the match, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes into it, I was like, this is a pretty good match, and then we got to the finish and it was just like Chris Charlton just sold the heck out of it, really.
He was really good, and he was really good on this show today.
And so most of the shows will have English broadcast later on. It was all in Japanese, but since they were at Cork and Hall today, Chris Charlton was able to do the live broadcast. He basically gave context to everything that had happened up to that point with this one show. So today's show is really the best show for you to like jump into. And if you really want to like jump around to some of these other matches that Steven mentioned, that's probably the play. So the whole thing was really good. The whole match, the whole setup of that match might be the best thing of the whole weekend, of the whole week of.
The cast changed as well. We're wondering, is there anything worth watching that has New Japan guys in it? And not a ton. Most of the best stuff is the Luchador versus Luchador thing, because they're trying hard, even though these are small crowds compared to what they're used to in Mexico. They work very hard. They wanted to impress the Japanese crowds that were there, and just a different scale of things. But they wrestle very well. Now, the ones that I would say that have New Japan wrestlers in them, I would say the Unbound Company matches, because most of those guys, Ishimori, Tsuji, know how to work lucha.
I'm going to stop you in a second on that one, but you keep going.
Shingo's good. They know how to work with that. The Marlowe Jr. stuff is a lot of fun when Tsuji puts the mask on. Shingo struggled today because he decided he was going to do a luchador gimmick today, and he was in a mask that he struggled with, not just keeping it on, but his peripheral vision was shot. And this is a guy that can usually work with anyone, and he was having a hard time today. He couldn't really see like he normally does, but for the most part, I would say Unbound Company stuff. And Daiki Nagai always works hard as well. So I think if you're going to go back and say, what's a match with a New Japan wrestler in it, that would be those would be the ones, the Unbound Company.
So the match on the 24th in Osaka, okay, that was the 8-man between Taguchi, Desperado, Fichero, Matsumoto, and then Bogue Soldier, Shingo, Philip Marlowe, and Teton. We know that Philip Marlowe is Yota Tsuji and Bogue Soldier is Taiji Shiori.
Sure.
Yota Tsuji has not been the top guy for very, very long. But you can tell that he's been watching the videos of how to do nothing in a match before a big match as the top guy. Because that match on Tuesday that he had before he flew out for the New Beginning show was an amazing display of, I ain't doing anything that's going to get me hurt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and of course, like I said, the cast changes. So from Osaka, Ishimori, Desperado, Tsuji, all those guys headed over to the States, and they're not on these two Cork and Hall shows there. So it's a much more luchador loaded lineup that we're getting these 2 days at Cork, because a lot of the guys has headed stateside.
I will tell you, I fell for it today at the show when they said that Shingo wasn't there due to a family emergency.
Oh, yeah. Now,
so at the beginning, they do the announcement, and they did the Taiji Ishimori and Yota Tsuji one earlier on in the tour. And like, again, guys, my head's not in like locked in on this. So they're like, oh, that's too bad. I hope Shingo's okay. He's got a family emergency. He just got married. I wonder what could be the issue. And then we get to the fourth match on the show, and he's a Guerrero, basically.
Yeah, I want to get the name right. They had Hatsu Saratsu Guerrero.
Yeah.
Hatsuratsu Guerrero was the name, which I guess is Guerrero, a warrior full of energy. Energetic warrior. Energetic warrior.
Dragon Guerrero should have been what he should have been called, but
I wonder if there already is a Rio Guerrero. I wonder if there already is one somewhere.
Who knows? Anyway, so yeah, I thought it was pretty amusing that I trolled myself and completely whiffed on the gag that they've been doing the entire tour, and yet I fell for it when they did it yet again.
Yeah, that's one thing. My Japanese is good enough that I heard them announce the other guy that will be taking Shingo's place, and I realized, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. He's doing the luchador gimmick tonight. So, all right. So the other one, by the way, the main event today, Mascara Dorada and Hechicero, terrific match again. And Dorada did something I haven't seen anybody do in New Japan. They fought all the way over to the bleachers on the west side. And once they climbed those bleachers, normally, of course, Jeremy, the trope at Korakuen Hall is to take your opponent up and bounce his head off the sign that says West. So I mentioned this when I was in Japan. I pointed at that sign to Ginger, and I said some of the greatest wrestlers in the world's heads have bounced off that sign over the years. And they didn't go that way. They went over into the corner, and he moved that scaffolding they used to hold up the New Japan entrance, the entrance they used there, the metal scaffolding. Then he climbed the scaffolding and did a moonsault off the scaffolding to the floor, which kind of wowed everybody and was a fairly decent jump. And so that got a nice reaction.
That was a good jump.
And Mascara Dorada, we said it last week. I'll probably be saying it until I'm blue in the face. Whenever Mistico decides to slow down,
he's the guy,
or step back, that is the man that will main event Arena Mexico week after week and be the idol of everyone. And he's the second Mascara Dorada we've had. This guy is the truth. And considering how well that company is doing, it will probably take a lot of money to get him away from that spot. But Mascara Dorada, this is the dude. He's charismatic, he's athletic, and very exciting. And he's the next star of the next top star. He's already a star. He's already a main event star. But
the guy,
Mistico took over from Atlantis. Basically, Atlantis had been the hero of heroes for a long time. Mistico went to the to WWE, and in that period there were others that were the top guy, but they didn't really settle on one. When he came back, Mistico was the guy again, and Caristico, Mistico, all through that. We've gone through that saga before, and they have another one in the wings. Just the talent keeps coming. And Soberano, fantastic too. Fantastic heel too.
They definitely have like about 5 or 6 guys in that late 20s, early 30s range that can be carrying the company for quite a bit of time moving forward. I need to correct myself from something I just said like a few minutes ago. Okay. The Shingo Takagi Hatsuratsu Guerrero was not in that 4-man. That was in that 8-man. That was on the 24th. He was actually in a tag today with Ultimo Guerrero against AJ and Templario. That's where they did the announcement. That's where he wore the mask. Mm-hmm. I looked at my notes and I was like, something's not right about my explanation here. So I checked it. And I didn't want to go into eternity getting a Fantasticamania detail wrong.
Okay, all right. Well, we strive for accuracy here.
I do.
Yeah. All right. So the other thing that's kind of going on with these is we're seeing Shomakado's final matches before he goes on excursion. As they mentioned, he's going to go get on the plane with the guys and go back to Mexico City when this tour is over. So we got to see him in some singles, some tags and things. His very last one is tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning here in U.S. time anyway, but the Korakuen show tomorrow.
How long do you think he'll be there? 18 months?
No, I don't know. I mean, you can't predict these things because whatever my opinion is, it's going to be too long. If it's more than a year, it's too damn long because they would waste too much of these guys' careers on excursions.
I'll put you down for a year then.
I think it's going to be more than that, but it's a bad idea.
I was thinking 18 months.
They do a lot of bad ideas nowadays, but it's too long. These guys shouldn't be coming back to start their New Japan careers proper, not Young Lion stuff with a gimmick, with music, with a story. When they're in their late 20s, they need to be doing it quicker than that.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that Shoma Kato ends up on AEW programming through an agreement via CMLL?
Jeez.
He's going to lose either way.
Who
Like, he's
cares?
in the losing phase. But I'm just like, between the arrangement between all three, Rocky Romero talking about how it's so important that CMLL, AEW, and New Japan are all in this alliance together.
Yeah, it's important.
It against WWE.
It's very important.
I'm asking from that frame of reference, do you think that something like that, where a young lion from New Japan who's in CMLL might end up in like a CMLL AEW arrangement match?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he might.
I mean,
in any way, shape, or form in which it matters, no.
No, it was. Yeah, he's gonna lose. Like Yuya Uemura and Impact. He never.
Nothing. None of those matches.
To him. He just lost all the time.
None of those matches matter. So
I was just curious if you think that like it could happen that way, where that's how we end up seeing like one of these New Japan wrestlers by a fluke through these other things because everyone's all cool with each other apparently.
I think just about everything that happens on AEW TV is a fluke. So
walk right into that one.
They also
to the face.
Yeah, it's just whatever he's feeling that week.
All right. You want to preview? Speaking of AEW adjacent, you want to preview this New Beginning show?
I want to talk about the Cork and Hall show tomorrow first.
Quickly.
So we got a couple things about that to mention. So Shoma Kato's send off against Averno. Averno is the last match there that Kato will have in New Japan 4 now. After that, there's a House of Torture preview thing. Iho de Stuka Jr. has kind of been an honorary House of Torture member. He'll be in there. Tiger Mask will face Magnus. That's going to be the special singles match. And the Atlantis Jr. and the Atlantis original teaming with Taguchi against Okamura, Satoshi Kojima, and Hechicero. Okamura, of course, his wife, Mima Shimoda, she got to take her bump today. She always likes to take a bump during Fantasticamania. She was a star for All Japan Women.
Yeah, she took a big bump today.
Oh, she usually likes to take a suplex or get knocked around a little bit. And let's see here. We've got Unbound Company, Shingo Titan and Daiki Nagai against Valiente, Futuro, and Mascara Dorada. And that should be pretty good overall right there. And the two singles matches to end it, Templario versus Ultimo Guerrero. And for the World Light Heavyweight title, Mistico versus Soberano Jr. Without exaggeration, Templario versus Ultimo Guerrero, Mistico versus Soberano Jr. These could be main events in Arena Mexico. These are big matches.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this main event. Honestly, I think I don't want to sound like a dork when I say this, but it could kick major ass. It's like Soberano is on the way up, and he's immensely talented, and Mistico, he's getting flowers as one of the best in the world over the last couple of years, and they're not taking the nights off here. You know what I mean? Like, they are, if they're not wrestling hard, they're still being the showman. And between wrestling hard on the last night and getting on a plane and being good showman, I think this one we're gonna go home with something decisive.
So 2 shows tomorrow. So of course the time difference doesn't make it feel like it's the same day, but it is kind of sort of the same day. The Fantasticamania show will be up and running once we're all awake and human again. And in the evening, though, U.S. time, we will have New Beginning USA. So let's take a look at that card. Jeremy, they are leading off with David Finlay versus Fred Rosser. This is the opening match of New Beginning USA. In case you were wondering if there are any plans for David Finlay going forward in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he is jerking the curtain against Fred Rosser, who's a talented guy, a major part of the LA dojo as far as training wrestlers and being a leader for those guys. But this is the true, oh yeah, we already booked him. So I guess, David Finlay match, because his farewell came at the New Beginning show back in Japan. That was when he hugged Gedo. That's when he touched the lion mark sign. It's when he did his bow. And here he is in the opening match of New Beginning USA against Fred Rosser.
I don't think he'll lose. he's on his way out, but Fred Rosser is just kind of Fred Rosser. I feel like this is more to, like give him a nice little send off for the American fans if they want to, see him off. I think he's going to WWE. I just
seems like it.
It's like
his whole family,
maybe NXT, that kind of thing. But you look at all these other wrestlers that went out and they didn't go out on their pack. Romo didn't lose on his way out. All these other guys didn't lose. I don't really think Finley's going to lose. I think he's going to have a pretty solid match. And, based off of the way the tickets sold for this show, I kind of think that he's going to get a reaction.
And we've talked about it on this show before. The idea of you have to lose your last match on the way out is such a cliche that's not particularly true when put under scrutiny. If you look at major wrestlers who have left companies, the idea of dramatically losing your final match to put over the next guy doesn't really happen all that often, and hasn't happened all that often historically. It's kind of a thing that promoters like to say to try to convince wrestlers to do whatever they want them to do. That's really more of what that is. And now the internet wrestling community has decided to really take up for it. You should lose on your way out. And it's not really a thing, guys. It's not. It's not a real thing anyway. It's an internet thing now. But yeah, there it is. Brad has mentioned this card is really solid. Stupid. This could be important, by the way. Stupid weather here in the Northeast keeping me from going. That keeps Brad from attending this show. Hopefully, it might keep more than Brad away because the weather in the Northeast is horrendous. So yeah,
the weather's not good right now. The current setup is 2,900. They added seats from a week ago. Yeah. They have sold almost 2,500 tickets. They have about 400 available tickets left to go.
Oh, okay, that's important. They've distributed that many tickets. That doesn't mean they've sold that many tickets.
Okay.
No, that's important.
There are 2,900 and there are 400 available.
Here's why that's important. I want to mention this. Here's a little thing that some of these, and I'm not naming any one company because almost all of them do it. You can hand a group of 50 tickets to veterans groups, for instance, to school systems for honor roll students and things like that, and say, here you go. Here's something as a reward to hand out to people. Or the way I've heard of veterans groups, they'll just like, here, free, we thank you for your service. And then they can write that up as 50 tickets distributed. Those tickets aren't sold. And those tickets might not even be used, but it goes under that list of distributed tickets right there. So I just want to talk about that because keep that in mind whenever you look at some of that WrestleTix stuff. The word distributed is important. That doesn't mean that that's how many people paid money to see the show.
For sure. Yeah, looking at the seating chart, it looks like there's about 25% of the tickets in the new open area, but the majority of the tickets are ringside. So it looks like the most expensive tickets are the ones that are still available.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that the show's doing fine financially and all that.
It'll be fine.
It looks like a decent crowd. I'm just saying I brought the weather up to say that if it looks half empty or something like that, it might not be that the company was lying about how many tickets are sold. It could legitimately be that people who bought tickets can't get there. In this case, could be a thing. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll as you're watching the show, just remember that there could be some. You hear that all the time. Well, the weather outside's been tough, and that's why nobody showed up to this crap show. But in this case, this is not a crap show. On paper, they have distributed a lot of tickets, sold quite a few, but not everybody might be able to get there. Could be a problem there. So we'll see. All right. Fred Rosser, David Finlay. After that, we have the Strong Openweight Championship. This is second on the card. Tomohiro Ishii, the champion, facing Oleg Boltin. And should be, the classic hard-hitting match. Ishii has dialed back his act and boiled it down to 5 things now that he can still physically do. He's not the worker he used to be. He doesn't try to be. He knows his body can't really do it. He's 50 now. So I know how I feel at that age. So I ache, and I don't have anywhere near the miles on me that Tomohiro Ishii does. So just keep in mind, the Ishii that used to have barn burning, tear the house down, blow the roof off matches in New Japan is gone. And he's probably in the right spot doing stuff over there. And he's basically an AEW wrestler now, more than he's a New Japan wrestler. This will be fine. Don't expect a whole lot because really it's Ishii only does a few things now. And Bolton is still learning piece by piece. So, but strong openweight championship match between Ishii and Bolton should have a couple of spots in the match that'll be entertaining.
I'm really looking forward to this match. I think this is going to be a good match for Bolton to have in the States because I don't think he's ever had one. I think it's his first time in the U.S.
I'd have to look that up, but I don't recall another time he's been over.
I don't think he's ever been in there. And Tomohiro Ishii nearly tore his hamstring like 2 weeks ago on Collision.
He's been hurt, and it's his body's starting to give out.
And apparently, he had a hell of a match with Andrade El Idolo taped on Collision last night. So he's fine and good to go for this match and the New Japan Cup, provided he doesn't get hurt here. But the Man of Glass is also made of granite right now.
Wow.
I'm really looking forward to this match. This is one of the first matches announced for the show, honestly. And it was like, ooh, hey, now we're talking.
Mm-hmm. All right. And after that, we will have Taiji Ishimori versus Ricochet. Now, this is kind of happening in a vacuum. There's no storyline to this mostly. It was just Ricochet kind of said, challenged Ishimori, which is a weird thing to do as the champion, but Ricochet does weird things. And he's going to challenge Ishimori to come to America and face him for one of the 75 championship titles that AEW rolls around. Their television has rattling around the containers that in the back of their ring truck, all those belts. And there it is, the national title, which doesn't mean anything, but Ricochet holds it. He's wrestling Taiji Ishimori. Those are two outstanding athletes, and this should be a very, very entertaining match.
This is a weird one. You are not wrong on that one. It almost feels like both of these guys really want to wrestle each other, and I don't know if we're ever going to get an opportunity. Why don't we? That
does feel like it. It does. It feels like, oh yeah, if he's
like
available,
they chatted last year at the Tokyo Dome and said, hey, we should try and do a match sometime.
Yeah, it feels like that because it really did come out of left field. But who's going to complain about Ishimori versus Ricochet?
No, I mean Ricochet. This is exactly the level of Ricochet he needs to be at. When you position him for the IWGP title in the Tokyo Dome, it's too much. But here, we're in the sweet spot. Ricochet is doing great work in AEW. I could verify for myself that I really enjoy the Ricochet act of what he's doing, and he's really coming into his own. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun with the babyface Taiji Ishimori. I think that's a really good dynamic. I think these guys are going to be flying everywhere.
By the way, a couple of comments from earlier. Yeah. Jordan from Canada mentioned that he's a huge Bolton mark, so he's looking forward to that strong.
Jordan, match. Bolton Oleg or Oleg Bolton?
Yeah, we go back and forth. I go back and forth on it. I flat out do.
I need to know what you think, Jordan.
I haven't decided yet myself. I started off with the Oleg Bolton thing, and then I went to Bolton Oleg because that was how they introduced him in Japan. And then I just couldn't wrap my head around. It's tough for me. I don't know.
I lean Bolton Oleg, but I don't care.
Okay.
But I just want to know if he's a huge mark. I just want to know where he stands.
It's tough because here's why I turned it around. Because for a long time we were saying Bolton Oleg. His last name is Bolton. His first name's Oleg. And in Japan, people are introduced last name first,
right?
Family name, first name. Yes, we always hear that, right? Naito Tetsuya, by the ring announcer, right? Except then we talk about him, and it's Tetsuya Naito. It's Kazuchika Okada. It's Hiroshi Tanahashi. They're introduced Tanahashi, Hiroshi. Then it's
don't make
Hiroshi
me
Tanahashi.
Have an opinion that actually matters on this evening. You're getting there. You're going to make me want to call him Oleg Bolton.
Well, it's a weird thing because The Economist, which is one of the best news magazines on earth as far as journalism goes, from England, made an announcement that they are going to start using the Japanese names when they talk about the prime minister and whoever else. Family name first, then first name. That's how they're going to be written in the magazine, because and I felt better when I heard this, they had to have long deliberations over how to handle this. I feel, okay, if the Economist is struggling, I don't feel bad about struggling with it.
Sure, it's a basic respect.
Brad says, whatever Alvarez says, do the opposite. Okay, all right, fair enough. That's I like Brian, but I understand what you mean, Brad. That's a funny one. And Brad says this was the trade-off match. They got Ricochet winning here to get GOA to lose against KOB. Of course, we're going to get to that match in a little bit, the match there. So that could fair point. Fair point. This could be a 1-for-1. What's the next match? Okay, and another one here. This is Jordan Oliver and Alec Price. I'll be honest, don't know a whole lot about these guys, Jordan Oliver or Alec Price, but they are in good hands. They are in with their opponents Kushida and El Desperado. So if you are new to New Japan and this style, these are the two I would want to be in there with, because I feel like they could walk me through a halfway passable match, let alone athletes like Oliver and Price. So I think they're going to be fine. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about these guys. Do you, Jeremy?
They are the newest signing to AEW. I don't remember exactly where they came from. I want to say Europe, but I can't say for sure. Brad probably has it in the comments. But they were signed within the last month to AEW and summarily were fed to FTR, and their place in the hierarchy was very much determined to be they are a project kind of team that they're going to start at the bottom, kind of like a private party kind of thing, and then just kind of do the rounds and kind of work their way up and see a project team essentially. So they're fine.
They've basically been on the indies until just
yeah. And for whatever reason, I thought they were British, but I was not as locked in on that. But I knew that they were. Oh, you know what? They might have been signed after an MJF show. Like MJF did an indie show, and then they got signed to the same show. Something like that kind of happened. Anyways, they are the new flavor of the month for AEW, and I am just curious as to why Desperado and Kushida are a tag team.
Again, there are some things about this show that appear to be pulled out of a hat. Brad is, of course, helping us out. Thank you, Brad. We appreciate you. He said Price and Jordan are the GCW tag team champions, and that Jordan and Nick Wayne were a tag team before Nick signed with AEW. So yeah, it comes from that indie scene, the GCW higher level indies in that part of the country.
Okay. Yay!
And he also mentioned Jordan is tight with Desperado from his time in GCW. So there are a couple of connections there. Now we're getting into the meat of this show, because after that one comes the NJPW World Television title match between El Phantasmo and Konosuke Takeshita, the former world champion, G1 winner, all that kind of stuff. But I don't see, barring an injury, this match being anything but wonderful for however long it lasts. It's scheduled for a 15-minute time limit. Decent chance we get all 15 of those. And
decent. I'm pretty much. I would pretty much bet that they're going to a draw.
It's hard for me to imagine Phantasmo pinning Takeshita, so it feels like it'll either be a draw or some sort of double count out where somebody does something spectacular and splatters themselves into the third row, and they do the old Dynamite Kid double count out where he does something so incredible to the outside that it's realistic that they can't make the 20 count. Or it just simply goes, or Takeshita beats him and just takes the TV title to give him a reason to be on shows every once in a while. But I think it'll be great while we got it.
I think it'll be a draw, and I think this is leading to a situation where both guys kind of need a friend, and then they're going to be friends with each other.
Okay.
They've done the feud. Like, these guys have wrestled multiple times, and ELP has already gotten one over on him. Takeshita has been the IWGP champion. He doesn't need to be the TV champion.
Oh, I agree with you, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be.
He just, it is above him. Feels like set up for later, not like, let's get Takeshita in here with a title that we can put all of his matches on YouTube. It feels like laying groundwork for something more than a feud.
And it's a sad state of affairs again, Jeremy, if you look at this graphic, that they can't quite spell Takeshita's name correctly twice. It's written directly underneath it, and the last name is missing the S. All right.
Ruthless.
Man, oh man. Come on, guys. All right. So, and more information on thankfully, you guys are hooking us up with information from the American indie scene, especially in the Northeast Indies, which I just don't get a chance to see this stuff. But apparently, talking about Price and Oliver, is they have wrestled each other all over the Indies. A lot of potential. Reminds Jordan from Canada of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly 15 years ago, where they created a lot of buzz just by wrestling with and against each other around. And then once they got to the big companies, they really turned on the jets and had some classics. So maybe that's where these guys are headed. We'll get our first taste as New Japan fans. So and Jordan McKenna is also very excited about El Phantasmo and Takeshita, and those two get along pretty darn well. They get along well in real life. So I think they will do the best they can to look good with one another.
This to me is the litmus test match to see if Knockout Brothers are for real in the States. Like, they're over in Japan, but when they come to the States, are the people who are coming to this show locked into New Japan and are aware, kind of like the Gabe Kidd factor last year in Battle in the Valley. He had that great match with Kenny Omega, and then he did that. He went to the time limit draw with Ishii like a week later, and the crowd wasn't really didn't see Gabe Kidd at that level. You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm curious about what level the Knockout Brothers are going to be at.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Yuto Ice. I think he's going to get himself over. And the match we're talking about here is the next one, the IWGP Tag Team Championship with the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice, facing Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, the Gates of Agony. And I think that Yuto's going to be fine. There is a charisma about him that's going to work here. I fully expect Knockout Brothers to win this match. I don't think this is anything other than a defense, but it should be all right. The Gates of Agony, part of the tag team tournament a while ago, did fine, did well, in fact, in a couple of their matches, had some pretty good ones. And so I think this will be a good match for Ice and Oscar to hit their stuff, get their stuff in, so to speak, and win, come back with a solid defense, which is really what it should be. I think that that's a team that should hold on to those titles for a good while before they're dropped again. Yeah.
Did you catch the other implication about this match?
No, go ahead. No, what did I miss?
2 years ago, Hiroshi Tanahashi said that the titles, such as the IWGP Tag Team titles, would only be defended in Japan, and that's what the Strong titles were for. The Strong titles are nowhere to be seen other than in CMLL right now, and yet we do have an IWGP Tag Team title match happening in the States. So it appears that if there is going to be a directive about these titles being defended in the States or not, it is going to be coming from the talent rather than the president. Because Yota Tsuji is the one saying, I will only defend the global title in the States and all these other things. So I'm just like, there is a...
Suji doesn't decide that, though. The company decides that.
Logic about how these companies are explaining these things about where and when they defend these titles. And they are making these specific that, Tanahashi made this directive a couple years ago, and then it quietly went away. And then Yota Tsuji at a press conference after Wrestle Kingdom says that he is only going to defend the IWGP title against worthy opponents who have done their time in New Japan in Japan, and it must be the main event of a show.
But he doesn't book himself. They told him to say that.
I don't know if they told him to say that.
Oh, he doesn't get to decide what the main events are.
There are some of these things that he's kind of going into business for himself, and he's getting.
Oh, come on! The champion doesn't book himself. If anyone doesn't book himself, it's a champion.
I am telling you, he is able to say the things like that, and we are seeing that the global title is being defended in the States, and the IWGP is not. And I expect that to be the case going forward.
Yeah, well, until they change their mind.
That it was interesting that it was the tag team titles, the IWGP tag team titles, in this domestic stateside match rather than the Strong titles, and they are nowhere to be seen. I just thought it was interesting, and it is a clear shift from what we have been told as an audience from the way that they've been doing things before.
It is, but New Japan does this all the time. They don't keep their word on that stuff. I mean, they said the
So
TV
it's up to
title
us to keep track of where they're the way they're doing things now.
The TV title was going to be for young wrestlers, and it never was. It never was. They put it on Zach almost immediately, and it's been among older guys ever since. It was supposed to be for younger. This one's going to be defended here, and that one's going to be. It is until they change their mind. And what we know is that Tanahashi seems to fly by the seat of his pants a lot, which is the source of a lot of these problems right here that we've had lately with this company. So because they half-ass stuff like that, and the fans pick up on the fact that they're half-assing it. Jordan from Canada, some comments here. He says, I think both teams are going to come in looking even better. Leona is really shining as a dynamic, scary big man in AEW. He also says it's a shame the two promotions in North America seem to have no interest in ELP. I find him very entertaining in ring and a great theme. Well, we found out on this show a couple of years ago because he it was his tag team partner at the time was now in WWE. I keep wanting to call him his WWE name, and I'm blanking on his old New Japan name. But Phantasmal was on our show, and he mentioned that he was within a whisper, a callback. If Cody Rhodes had called him back, he would be an AEW wrestler right now. And that was kind of a thing that went a little bit viral from our show, Jeremy. It went around the work saying that had Cody Rhodes called Riley back a little bit quicker, he would have signed with AEW and not with New Japan that year. And we might have a very different journey for El Fantasma over the last few years from that one.
Yeah. So it would have been interesting if it was Phantasmo that left and Hikuleo that stayed, right?
Hikuleo, thank you. Good grief. I didn't want to call him by his WWE name on this show, and boy did I blank on Hikuleo because I wasn't ready for it. Oh,
no Talatonga for you.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to call him. I don't. It's not Talatonga. He wasn't Talatonga yet. I think he knew he was going to be, though. I think he knew he was going to be when he was on the show. Don't you think, Jeremy? When he was on our show.
He was using our show to fish and let people know he was a free agent.
Yeah,
I have been told as such.
Yeah. Well, when we got done with that interview, this is when we had both Fantastic. They were building up for Wrestle Kingdom to wrestle Bishamon at Kingdom. Yeah, and they had some terrific matches with Bishamon. And I remember afterwards just thinking, oh, he's gone. He's good and gone. That's what he wasn't saying, and not because he was unhappy in New Japan, but he was excited about the future, probably particularly what his bank account was going to look like in the very near future. All right,
he's just a guy in a group. It's fine.
He's making good money, and he's making good money. He's staying close to home. Life ain't too bad.
Got to pay the face. That's not fun. I don't want to pay my face every Friday.
I would for that money. All right, what's next?
I don't know if I want to for that money. Like, I'm kind of an asshole like that. Like, I don't think that I would probably be like, you got to pay me more for the face paint, guys.
My girlfriend has knowledge of skincare products that I think will fix any issues I might get from the paint. I can, and I'd be able to afford them.
No, I just don't have the patience to sit there and paint my face.
You know, Kamala. You remember Kamala, the Ugandan giant, that whole gimmick? You know who first painted his chest and stomach with the stars and the moon and all that kind of stuff?
Who?
Jerry Lawler.
Oh,
Jerry Lawler, the original artist, and he had to teach James Harris, Sugar Bear Harris, who was Kamala, how to do that in the mirror with his own stuff after a while, because he debuted in Memphis, and Jerry Lawler was the one that initially drew all that stuff on him and painted all that stuff on him for Memphis TV. Then he had to learn how to do it himself. I think that would be the hardest part about painting your face, is you got to learn how to do it backwards in the mirror.
And consistent and have to look the same all the time, right? Like if you have like
women that wear makeup are just listen to these morons right now. The women who put their makeup on every day are like, listen to these two morons.
They're amazing at it, and they do a great job. And I need to, give women their flowers for their beauty routine that we take for granted that they have to live up to for the standards of society.
Thank goodness I don't have to do that. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I would be so bad at it.
All the respect to the women in our lives.
Oh, I know.
Falling for that trap, Steven.
I'd be so bad at it. Okay. Up next, we do have the IWGP. That was one of the better digressions we've had in a long time. The IWGP Women's Championship is on the line, and here's the match. Here's the match that I'm really looking forward to. Syuri defending that title against Athena. And Athena has been to Stardom. She did a little mini tour. She wasn't over there as long as she would have liked to, I think, because she looked like she was having a blast. when they chanted her name in Korakuen Hall, she choked up. This means something to Athena. She is going to be motivated. And I'm not saying that Athena is trying out for stardom. I'm just saying that she has respect, deep respect for Syuri, for the Japanese women's promotions as a whole. And that I think that Athena is going to work very hard. We know that Syuri is one of the best in the world. Another match, Jeremy, over and over again as we go through this, like Takeshita and ELP, Ishimori, Ricochet. I mean, barring an injury, nothing can really go wrong here, except we're just going to get a terrific match between two very talented women.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I got no complaint whatsoever. I think Athena is one of the best in the world, even though she doesn't really get her flowers for such. And, you know, if there's a list of women that you kind of want for both women to, you know, check off your bucket list, I think both women are on each other's list. So let's do this and let's have a good match. I don't think, I think no titles are changing hands or anything like that, but it was fun.
Years and years ago here in Austin, they had Inspire Pro Wrestling as a local company, still around, a local company, and Athena would be booked for them a lot. And I remember seeing a match with Barbie Hayden, who's a pretty good wrestler in that, and left the business to go work for, I think, Spiegel World. She was in one of those shows in Las Vegas, like Atomic Saloon or one of the Vegas shows. One of the competitors to Cirque du Soleil, the variety show type of things. And in the meantime, she was an indie wrestler here. And I remember seeing Barbie Hayden thinking, oh, Barbie Hayden's really good. And then she had a match with Athena before she was Ember Moon. And that match was great. And I'm just sitting there like, good grief, boy, Barbie really tore it up right there. Then I saw another Athena match, again, before she was Ember Moon. And I thought, oh, that's why that match was great. Barbie Hayden's really good, but she's really good. Like, Athena's fantastic. And then not too long after that, I went to one of her final shows as Athena before she went to be Ember Moon in NXT. And you can say she was terrific in NXT. She's been terrific in Ring of Honor and AEW. It's going to be good here. So, yeah.
I have nothing to add to that very glowing approval speech of yours.
After that, the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, Yota Tsuji against Andrade El Idolo. Yeah, I mean, another match that kind of came up that we expected, that we figured that Andrade El Idolo would beat Gabe Kidd to earn this one. I think this is another match that's going to be very, very good. I see it as a way to establish Yota Tsuji as a global champion. I would be very, very surprised if they beat Tsuji here. I think it would be a disastrous decision if they beat Tsuji here.
I agree.
And so I think what we're going to get is probably a classic. He's going to hit his finisher. He's going to pin Andrade after a terrific match, and he's going to send the crowd home happy on the microphone. But Andrade El Idolo is terrific. Again, we know that Yota Tsuji has a little bit of lucha in him. So I think they're going to throw some of that stuff in there just for funsies. But we also know that Andrade can work strong style too. He's been in the G1 tournament. He's a former Intercontinental champion back when that belt was still being established. La Sombra held that title. So yet another one. Should be a terrific match. On paper, this New Beginning USA card looks wonderful.
Andrade's on a fucking heater right now. He is out there with something to prove since he's been freed from the shackles of WWE's no compete, frankly. Like, he's come out there and every single match he's had, all of his AEW ones have been fantastic. He no longer feels held back or in some way, shape, or form, and he is feeling as authentic an Andrade that I've seen in like 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, he is hitting his stride right now, and I think he is primed to have a fantastic main event with Yota Tsuji. Yes. And I agree with you that Yota Tsuji should not be losing this match as his first global title defense since Wrestle Kingdom. It's the first time that people in the States will have seen him. And he needs to be the one standing with the microphone, sending everybody off home as the face of New Japan. I get the temptation to have Andrade like be there at the end, but that's not how you need to go into the stage with like a G1 atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, like the next show that they're really pushing is the G1 in Chicago, and you want your champion to look strong so that all the guys fighting for the G1 get a chance to face that guy.
Yeah. And they don't need a belt on somebody over here who's part-time. We tried that with Takeshita. It didn't work. It just objectively didn't work. He's not going to be in Japan enough to defend this title. Don't need a part-time champion in a title that should have, even though the title is allegedly being defended in outside of Japan, it needs to be Tsuji. The emphasis here isn't even on the global title. It's on Yota Tsuji and making sure everyone understands that this is the star here. And the other thing about Andrade, Jeremy, the motivation is there because let's face it, if he flames out in this run with AEW, it's Mexico. He's done in North America after this. He has to make this work.
Like he has to be in the conversation for like comeback wrestler of the year. Wrestler of the year, all of these things where it's like this run he's had for the first month, if he keeps this up for the rest of the year, like the Kyle Fletchers, you know, some of these other guys, they're gonna have a run for their money because at his best, Andrade Idolo is one of the best in the world.
And then Brad mentioned, I'm going to get to your question too, Tyler, in just a moment. But Brad mentions that MJF had a match for House of Glory that Andrade interfered in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see MJF return the favor here and interfere, leading to Andrade losing. Could be a little bit of an angle going on there. So perhaps. And and Jordan from Canada agrees, by the way, that Andrade has been fun to watch. Hey, whenever a guy is talented, clearly talented, gets into a spot where he feels comfortable and happy again after a decent period where he just flat out didn't, it's nice to see that guy express himself again,
right?
You know, and just feel good about his art again. I do like that too. Tyler had a question for us though, Jeremy. It's a little bit off topic, but we've just finished our preview of New Beginning, and he said, I'm just dropping by to say hello. I've been out of the loop, but I'm wondering what are our thoughts on all these recent departures. And we've had a little bit of time to settle in after some of the departures. We talked about it, Tyler, and you know, Hiromu had probably done everything he can do in New Japan, and maybe it's time for a new challenge. His has been different than the others in that it's always Hiromu Takahashi has gone for now. Both he and the company keep saying for now, for the time being. He will be back in New Japan. We feel comfortable with that. Finlay, you know, I think that New Japan suspected that last year was his last just from the way they booked him because they de-emphasized him over the course of the year, protected themselves a little bit. I don't think anybody's surprised by Gabe Kidd leaving because AEW had been, as Jeremy said over and over, kicking the tires on him for a while. Here's our hope, Tyler. It hurts to see some of these guys go because they're talented guys. Our hope is that now this clears those spots and that other guys are booked in a way that they can step up and then do their part to step up. And then it is chance for some more people to rise to the top. Finlay was a faction leader, Evil faction leader. What we're hoping for these guys to step into those places and turn it on. And things look pretty grim. I'm going to go way back for All Japan in the 90s because Tenryu left and went to a guy with a ton of money, put up money to create a new promotion called SWS. And Junichiro Tenryu left with a bunch of his guys, fairly high level guys for All Japan. We got Misawa, Kawada, and Kobashi out of that. And when, you know, there have been other times when people have left the company in mass. And look, a few years ago, Nakamura, AJ, who stepped into those spots? Well, Okada was already there, but I would say Goto moved up the card from that after a while. It took him a little while, but certainly Kenny Omega, you know, Kenny Omega stepped into that role. We're hoping we see somebody step up into that spot. If Hiromu leaves, maybe there's more space for a Kosei Fujita or maybe even a Daiki Nagai coming up in the future. If Finlay leaves, you know, we'll see how Unbound Company shakes out. With Evil, it's time for Ren Narita to step forward, apparently, and I'm skeptical of that. I'm skeptical of Yuya Uemura as well, but we're hoping these guys take the initiative. These spots are open now. These are faction leadership spots. It's time for them to do it. Callum Newman, I think, is going to be an important part of New Japan's future. And it just clears the way for them. And that's what you hope is that guys take that spot and take the ball and run with it. That's what we're looking for. So guys take the ball and run with it. And we've seen a lot of fumbles over the last couple of years, both from the company and from some of the wrestlers who have been small in big moments. And we need some guys to step up and be big in big moments. That's what we're hoping. So,
I will preface this with, I think New Japan will be fine. But I'm of two minds of this. One is the adage, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And the amount of flowers that some of these guys get after they leave, when they don't really get them when they're here, somewhat amuses me. You know, like the conversation around Finlay and Hiromu and Evil has been especially fascinating this year. With the increased dialogue about, well, were they good or were they bad? Or what did they really bring to the table? Or, you know, like everyone seems to have an opinion that's even more curated around where they're going and the fact that they're leaving and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that they're leaving New Japan. Inevitably, it's a bad thing. You know, it's like it leaves a void and a risk that that void will not be filled. And they were tried and true, reliable, solid talent in the ring that the audience responded to. And you can do something with that. You have people on the come up at this point with an opportunity that are hungry that can make that spot their own, because they can't be Evil. They can't be Hiromu, and they can't be Finlay. They have to be their own person that takes that same energy and takes that same spot and makes it their own and makes it fresh so that the promotion continues to thrive. Mm-hmm. You know, like there is no who's the next Finlay. That's what I'm trying to say here. And so,
but it's the spot. Yeah.
It's the spot. It's the energy. It's the desire by both the promotion and the talent as the next level, as the next people up. Like you see it in AEW right now, like this next generation of talent that's coming up that we weren't talking about when AEW first started. They're in WWE right now, desperately trying to build new talent because they're seeing their entire roster over the age of 40 aging out and realizing that they don't have WrestleMania main events for the next 10 years. You know, these are the things that everybody is trying to do. And so I do believe that New Japan has the talent. I do believe that with the Callum Newman, like you said, and if Ren Narita finds that like passion for wrestling again that he needs, I think everybody there, I think they have the formula and the cocktail to put something pretty spectacular over the next few years, but they have to mix it right.
Yeah, you make a great point with Newman, and it illustrates the point you were going to make. Finlay and Newman are very different wrestlers, but that idea of a malevolent, foreign, vicious guy leading a faction of pissed off people, that's a trope, right? I mean, that's Bullet Club, and now it's kind of moved over to United Empire. Now the Bullet Club has gone away, but it's not the same faction. It's not the same type of wrestler, but that spot, that angry foreigner who is going to take over, that's Callum Newman now. And he's doing it in a very different method than
You're
Finlay.
Literally going from Americanized gun culture to British lore of Excalibur and the Knights of the Round Table.
But that's the kind of change in flavor that's necessary sometimes.
You need to go 190 degrees different from the direction you were already in.
And remember, Newman, we talked about it right here on this show. When Callum Newman first started, we just thought, talented kid, very athletic, needs to stop being a Will Ospreay tribute act.
Yeah.
And when he did, top foreigner. Yeah. You know, it wasn't overnight. That was an evolution of Callum Newman and things. So it's that evolution is what we're looking for. Ren Narita he started off as a Shibata tribute act and not a particularly good one. And he's been a very mediocre heel with House of Torture. He needs to show flashes of talent. When was the last really, really good Ren Narita match? His street fight with Shota Umino at Korakuen Hall wasn't bad. And then before that, he had a match, I guess it was when he was on NJPW Strong, when that was a weekly series. I mean,
I still remember a match with Juke Robinson where they just beat the shit out of each other.
He's only had a couple of good matches over what's kind of been a fairly long career. It's time for him to step up and show that he's ready for that, or show that he's not ready. And it's a coin flip with me as to what it's going to be, because Narita's been a mediocrity for most of his career and a bad tribute act. It's time for him to be his own guy and show something, or learn, or show the company that he ain't got it. And I think it could go either way right now. And Jordan says Newman is a little bit more sympathetic than Finlay was, perhaps. Yeah, okay. I'll take that.
mean, if you got middle or younger child syndrome, I'm sure he's very sympathetic.
That's an interesting way of putting it. All right, fair enough. All right, so that's our preview of that one. Wanted to mention one other thing. There is another show before we reconvene back here. Chris Sampson is going to be with us next week. I will be on assignment. And
try to stay out of Mexico, okay?
What's that?
Try to stay out of Mexico.
Yeah, I can't do that. So we'll see.
Stay on the
boat. Yeah, maybe that's going to have to be the thing. I might have to, actually, but we'll see how that all goes. There's time for that to cool off.
But we got to talk about your thoughts of the New Japan Cup now.
Yes, exactly.
Because you are denied an opportunity from here on out to talk about anything before it commences underway.
Yeah. Well, and by the time the show comes out, there will be night one of the New Japan Cup when Chris and Jeremy reconvene at our normal time next week. So a couple of interesting things about that show, which will be from Korakuen Hall, and that is Wednesday, March 4th. First of all, Sho Mikado headed to Mexico, right? We just Marashima, who headed to Germany. We have a new young lion.
Show him the door.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, you were waiting on that one.
I really was.
Tatsuya Matsumoto is getting the first singles match for Taisei Nakahara. So Taisei Nakahara, the newest young lion, facing the second newest young lion at that point, Tatsuya Matsumoto. So I know Matsumoto is excited to finally get some singles wins.
I hope so. Maybe he's not getting singles wins still.
You know how this works.
Really depressing.
That's a pretty strict hierarchy they use there for the young lions. So, but no, Taisei Nakahara. I'm always fascinated with whenever we get a new young lion to see how they turn out. So,
right.
We usually end up talking about them years later. And then the two matches from the New Japan Cup that will take place on the 4th. Aaron Wolf against Don Fale. Yeah. And then after that, another one. Yeah. Yuya Uemura and Great Okan will be the main event of that one. And I'm fascinated by that one. I don't care who wins. Looking at this, Uemura, Drilla Maloney gets the winner of that match. Uemura and Great Okan. The winner of that will face Drilla Maloney. I don't really care which one it is. If I suspect it's going to be Uemura, but if he does, that puts him in the main event winning position at Korakuen Hall. And I just want to hear if once, I'm asking once, Yuya, eye to eye, do something other than your cut and paste Young Lion promo for once. Something interesting. Say something interesting once. And stop with the whole, I win and I'm just going to go higher. If I lose, I'm just going to pull myself up from the bootstraps and get better. Stop talking like a young lion and try to start talking like a star once. I'm asking you, Yuya. If you win this match, do that. Great Okan, I'm not worried about. He can cut a promo. Yuya,
I think Yuya's going all the way to the finals.
He might, but for God's sake, start acting like a star and stop talking like a young.
I hope he gets multiple opportunities to anger you with his shitty promos.
Boy, they're bad. Here's the thing.
I don't think they're bad, but I was just going along with the fact that you think they're bad. I think they're fine. Like, I don't think they're amazing. I don't think
bland.
They're terrible.
He only has two. One when he wins, one when he loses. He says the same thing.
And I think that they're perfectly fine.
It's like late in Aerosmith's career where they only had two songs, the fast one, the slow one. But other than that, it was just the same thing. Huh?
For sure.
I'm just saying, you got to do more than that if you're going to be the guy.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing it.
I'm with you. Speaking of which, if you have your thoughts about who's going to win the New Japan Cup, you can go to the sportofprowrestling.com and to this website. You can just go to sportofprowrestling.com and there's a link right there. And you can do a drop down and guess every winner all the way through the end. And the host of this contest will be our guest next week, the one, the only, the Chris Sampson. So I wanted to get that plug in there before we get underway here.
I'm glad Chris is going to be on the show. I'm sad I'm not going to be here because I love talking to Chris about it. And but the good news is, folks, with me not on the show with Chris, you have a chance of getting out of here in an hour and a half. Because when Chris and I start going,
a real good chance.
When Chris and I start going, we could go. Chris and I could talk all night. So that's
I keep a tight leash on the time. Then it gets out of control, and I just glare at the both of them.
Jordan from Canada mentioned it's fun. Those picks contests are a blast. It's fun to see how you do and to play along with keep track of your results.
So the interesting thing to me about these brackets, Steven, is that you have 3 brackets in which there is a former IWGP champion, and in the sub bracket across from it is potentially somebody young that could get the rub from being a former champion.
Sure.
So you have Yuya Uemura and Shingo Takagi, which we remember that Shingo Takagi was a champion back in 2020. It's been a while, but Yuya Uemura going over Shingo Takagi and a chance to face Yota Tsuji feels like a really strong play. Mm-hmm. If you go to the other side, you have Callum Newman, who could potentially get a win over Hiroki Goto if all the things go right in that thing. And if you look at it, you've got Jake Lee and Yoshihashi, which since Jake Lee lost that IWGP title, I kind of expect him to win his first match when he comes back from that. But after that, there could be countouts, there could be whatever. And, Hiroki Goto goes over, then you get Goto and Callum Newman. I wouldn't be surprised if Oscar, gets screwed out of a win right there. Callum Newman kind of positioned on there. So you see that right there. And then at the bottom, everyone's favorite Shota Umino could more than likely get past Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi.
Right.
But it's that under bracket with Yuto Ice and Ryohei Oiwa. And I kind of see Ryohei Oiwa being the guy, the odd man out, kind of loses to Yuto Ice in that first round. So we get Yuto Ice and Zack Sabre Jr. But I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up getting Ryohei Oiwa versus Zack Sabre Jr. Inevitably, though, I think we're getting Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. in that bottom bracket, where then if you wanted to have a Final Four of all young guys, 3 of them will have gotten there by defeating a former IWGP champion on the way to facing the current IWGP champion. And over in that other far left corner, it's just Ren Narita. Honestly, it's going to be Ren Narita to put him over as the House of Torture guy. Yeah. I see him beating Taichi. I see him beating Ishii. Honestly, I see him beating Bolton Oleg as the guy that probably makes it out of that block. But, the Phantasmo and Oleg match is probably going to be fantastic. The Hinari match that follows up with either one of those guys is going to be great. But I do kind of see Oleg and Hinari the same night that we have, Ren Narita and Tomohiro Ishii. That kind of feels like, okay, you're getting something even though you got a Ren Narita match. So once you get those Final Four, Yuya Uemura, Ren Narita on one side, Callum Newman, Shota Umino on the other side, I think you kind of go with Shota and Yuya at the end.
Yeah, you could with again, I'm begging for a heel turn from one of them.
Right?
One of them in that. There needs to be a story to this.
I would love to see a babyface Shota go face Yota Tsuji, lose, and just lose his mind after the match and just kind of destroy him, and going into Sakura Genesis, we're figuring out what this new situation with Shota is. That's what I would love to see, but there's so much about this company that refuses to pull the trigger on the obvious thing.
Amen.
Right now, we need another heel faction. We only have one heel faction. We have 2. I'm sorry. We have 2. We have United Empire and we have House of Torture.
You're right. You're right. You're right. And I'm going to say this, though. United Empire keeps going the way they're going. They're going to be that Suzuki-gun kind of heel group you like in about a year.
The cool badass guys.
They need some actual jerks.
They need some actual, You need a traditional heel group that is brand new that you can establish as something dominant. Bullet Club's gone. House of Torture is exactly what House of Torture is. And it has been positioned as that group for a while. It is no longer fresh. It is stale. But you still need the presentation that they are a player. So between those 4 people, you know, 2 of them are repping Hontai, and with Shota saying to Tanahashi like 5 months ago, 4 months ago, let me be the one to lead Hontai, him given that opportunity to do so and then failing and it being nobody's fault but his own feels like true to the Shota Umino story.
All right. A couple of comments here. Jordan from Canada mentions potential Oleg and Hanare match, big bruisers. That would be interesting to see. Yeah, I would like to see that one as well.
Oh, and by the way, I do think Aaron Wolf is losing in the first round.
To Fale?
Yeah.
That they're just going to screw him, though, right? Not clean.
He's just one and done. He's not ready to face against Shingo Takagi. Like, Shingo Takagi, you can't slow down a Shingo Takagi match for Aaron Wolf. And you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine that match?
It can't be clean. It has to be a thing where House of Torture keeps screwing over Wolf until he just loses his stuff. That should be it. And Jordan says, dang, you guys got me pumped. Got to get another subscription in March. Well, we'll be happy to have you back on board. And Brad mentions this. He said, going back to tomorrow's show for a second, do you think there'll be any surprises, turns, or announcements? I don't at Fantasticamania.
I think he's talking about new beginnings.
Oh, he's talking about new beginning. Oh, a new beginning in the USA. Announcements, yes. I think there will be some sort of announcement about when we already know about what's coming to Chicago, the G1 in Chicago. Yeah, I expect some sort of announcement regarding future shows in America. Turns, I'm trying to find a turn that would really make sense to do there. I'm struggling with that, but I do expect some announcements. And they're a surprise. That MJF thing's not a bad idea to have something like that there. I think there could be somebody popping up that we don't expect. I would imagine, Jeremy, maybe somebody pops up on the video board, even if they can't get there in person, and to make a challenge for a future event. I do think there'll be something like that. The only other announcement we got, by the way, is we found out when Best of the Super Juniors is going to be. Yeah. That's off in the future, and we'll get to it then. The only notable thing is that the finals are its own show at Oda Ward Gymnasium, and the finals will not be at Dominion this year. Dominion is 1 week after the Best of the Super Junior finals, so something to keep in mind there.
I could see another team making their claim for the Knockout Brothers after if they retain. I could see a team showing up and the crowd going ooh.
Well, they're well, and I'll give you this. So like, let's take a look at that card and go with the New Japan trope, right? Win a big singles match earlier, challenge the champion later. What happens, Jeremy? What do you think? Ricochet beats Taiji Ishimori, and now he wants a shot at the global title the next time they're in the USA. That could be a thing.
That could be a thing. That could 100% be a thing. Yeah, I was wondering if they were gonna bring in one of those other new AEW teams that they've just brought in, and just be like the Rascals, smoke them if you got them. We'll smoke you out, and Knockout Brothers will knock you out.
Let's get high.
Right? I would actually be here for a Rascals versus Knockout Brothers match. Those guys are fantastic.
All right. So yeah, I would suspect something like that, Brad. More than a big turn at this stage. More than that. I'm not saying impossible, but I don't expect a turn. But announcements, yes. And I would imagine challenges, yeah. Surprise challenges.
There does seem it feels like there's a lot of open space to do one more domestic show before the G1. But if it's really just Chicago and they're all roads lead to that first night of the G1 in Chicago and everything else is just kind of full steam ahead, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But there is some time to get another.
There absolutely is some time. But I'm gonna catch your show tomorrow night. I'm gonna watch Elimination Chamber on Saturday. Gonna do the New Japan Cup on Wednesday. I'm gonna wish you well and see you in 2 weeks, as it were. And hope you have a great time getting out of the United States of America, because that seems like all the rage. Is leaving the United States of America either by choice or by not, which is one of those weird things that came out of my mouth, and I apologize.
Yeah, it's strange days, especially considering where we're going. So there are a couple of days in Mexico there, and we're not sure. We'll just have to see if we can get off the ship or not. But we'll find out.
Yeah, no, I mean,
we honestly don't know. I mean, it's just they are monitoring the situation.
Like, during the show, my wife told me that she got selected she's in the courtroom for jury duty selection for a trial that might go up to a month. She hasn't been selected yet, but I'm getting the constant updates like, yeah, I'm closer to being selected, and no, I don't have a hardship. I'm like,
I've been called for jury duty several times. I've never been on a jury. I've never even been interviewed, I don't know what the term is, but where you answer questions from the attorneys or
I got booted off of when I answered a question. They're like, that guy's out. And I'm like,
you did the thing where he says, I can spot guilty people just like that. I know. No, I've never been brought into the courtroom. I've been sitting there, and then every time I've had jury duty, they've come out and said, we're good. You guys can go. And so I think 3 or 4 times I've been down there, and I've never even gotten into a courtroom. I've always just been in the waiting area.
I was sitting on a jury panel, and it was one of those like absolutely awful things done to a child kind of trial, and they're like, will you be able to be impartial? And I literally said, nope.
Hey, at least you were honest about it, I suppose.
Yeah, I was like, this is the system that we have, but I'll be honest with you, not even remotely. I've already made up my mind on the two.
Jeez. I'm glad you weren't selected. How about
that?
No,
I know, but he was found guilty, and it was pretty horrendous. I was following it after the fact.
Yeah, fair enough. I know that's the other thing is whenever you aren't selected, it's really tempting to go and follow what actually does happen.
It was enough that I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want therapy for the next 2 years from what I can potentially hear from this one. But so I wish you well.
Thank you.
I will work on my own mental health, and in 2 weeks when you see me, I'll be great. I got a dog down here that figured out it's time for him to feed. He's losing his mind, and I'm just like, we're right back to normal, aren't we, guys?
Well, let's make sure Cole's okay. So with that in mind, so again, next week, Chris Sampson will be stepping in for me, and they will take a look at the last day of Fantasticamania, New Beginning USA, first night of the New Japan Cup. Plenty to talk about next week. And then when I'm back in 2 weeks, more New Japan Cup. I'm sure there's going to be news. There's going to be a lot to cover here. So make sure you stay with us these next couple of weeks. Don't forget Power Bombshells on Sunday at 1:00 Eastern time. The Dynamite show on right after Dynamite. You can probably figure that out for yourself. And all the other shows that are on the Fight Game Media Network. We hope the wrap, Garrett's show. There's all kinds of good stuff out here.
Real quick, do you have a prediction for the finals of the New Japan Cup?
I think probably on paper, some sort of thing where Uemura and Umino have to look each other in the eye at the end is kind of how I'm going with one. And I just hope that one of them turns heel, because I said it before, if one of these guys just keeps on losing and does nothing about it and just says, well, I'm just going to pull myself up by the bootstraps and try again, I'm done with them. And I'm already halfway done with a couple of them. So it ain't going to happen unless they light a fire under one of these guys and give them something interesting to do besides the same thing these guys have been doing for 3 years, which is failing and asking people to buy tickets to see guys who fail.
Thank you for being mindful of the comments today, Steven. Do we have any more before we are out of here?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot that we haven't talked about. Jordan mentioned the Yudo Ice versus Oiwa with the winner facing Zach is a really great little bracket storyline area there, which I agree with. I think that was a clever way of doing it. Just keep in mind, New Japan has a history of doing this in the New Japan Cup, of teasing a matchup that's intriguing and then not delivering.
Like potentially Girola versus Shingo?
That type of thing. We might get one of them. We ain't going to get all of them. Yeah. So keep that in mind. There's going to be one that we're like, I was hoping we would get that, and it's not. We're not. That's going to happen somewhere along this tournament.
Hug your pet extra tight for me, folks. Steven, get us out of here.
All right. So I just want to say thank you for everybody who joined us here live, everybody who listens to us later as a podcast or here on the YouTube. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your likes and subscribes and all those things. Mostly, we appreciate your time in being with us. Plenty to do next week. So we will talk to you again real soon.
Bye.